Okay. Yeah. Welcome to Museum of Cornish Life. At this time in Helston, we like to celebrate the crafts and arts with a festival that we call Heston Makes It. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce you to Sara Price, who is an expert quilt maker and has brought an amazing array of quilts to share with us today. So Sarah, what can you tell me about these beautiful quilts?
Thank you, Isabel. Well, I brought just a few from my collection, and they span a period of 120 or so years. The first one here is made in about 1880, and it's just a sample piece, and it just shows the technique. If you look at the reverse side, it's English paper pieced, and it still has the papers inside. What's also lovely about this sample are some of the fabrics that are in it. So we've got beautiful bits of chintz, and you can still see the shine on the fabric, or the sheen, from when it was made. This is what I would call a lovely scrap bag quilt, as are pretty much all of the quilt samples I've brought with me. The second quilt I've brought was made in England in about 1920s, mid-20s I would say. It's also English paper pieced. This time it's hexagons rather than diamonds. And it's made from a wonderful selection of ladies' tea dress fabrics, children's clothes fabrics, even lingerie I think features in here. And it was made at a time, if you think about the mid-20s, what was happening. Spanish flu has ripped through the entire world. We were heading into the national strike and depression. And so people were using what they had, and this formed the most wonderful therapy for a lot of people. And they used what they could. So for the back of this lovely coverlet, they've used something that I think was going to be a tablecloth perhaps, and it's all just got lovely embroidery on it. And they gave up on that idea and have used it as the backing for this beautiful piece. The next piece I brought was actually made in America during the Great Depression in the 1930s. And it's made from feed sack fabrics. Now I could go into a long talk about feed sack fabrics, but during the Great Depression in America, they also were using what they could get hold of, and these fabrics came from the fabric bags that contained dry goods like flour, sugar, chicken pellets, cattle food, you name it. If it was sold in a sack, they made it out of fabric. The final little gem that I've brought to share with you was made in this country in the 1960s, and it is made, with one notable exception, from crimpline, which I think is a devotion above and beyond really on the maker's part, but it is eye-wateringly bright, and because it's crimpline, it probably has a half-life of about 50,000 years. So then I have this little sample here, which was made in the 1970s, 80s, and with some lovely Laura Ashley fabrics showing the technique. So there's our flower, made up of hexagons, and then just a sort of little one to show you how they are joined together, another little one there, and then a sample of my own work that I'm just working on. And this one shows that although you can just cut fabric to play with, if you actually place your shape carefully on the fabric, you can get very different results from the same fabric. So this and this one are both made from the same fabrics, but because I've cut them in different ways and arranged them differently, the effect is, I think you'll agree, very, very different.
So, Sarah, if people have been inspired by these amazing quilts, and to be honest, how can you not be? They are a real art form, aren't they?
They are, truly.
And I know we're calling them quilts and covers, but actually people do use them as wall hangings as well.
They will very definitely use them as wall hangings and as art on their walls.
They
are so striking, definitely. But if
Well,
people would like to find out more, then they can contact me on Facebook or Instagram, the Quilt Lady. And then if they want to have a go themselves and think, yeah, this is something I can do, you need fabric and you need templates. And what I've got here are a few bits just to show you. So you trace around a template to create the shape, cut it out, and then you'd have a card, very lightweight card template, which you place on the back. And then you fold it over and you sew through fabric and card to hold it all together. You can perhaps see the thread better on this one. And then when you've got your hexagons, you simply place them face to face, line up the edges and just over sew very carefully along the edges, and then fold them out when you're done.
And if people are looking for the templates, I mean, I'm sure you can probably create them yourself, but
you can just download templates at home, but then you'd be printing them on ordinary paper, and that's quite flimsy.
Yeah.
There is we're very lucky, there's a fabulous company based in Penzance.
Lovely.
And you can order, they're called Sew and Quilt, and you can order on their website all sorts of different size and shape templates to create the pattern that you would like to create.
And we know our audience is not only here in Cornwall or in the west of Cornwall, but it's across the county and across the country and across the world. And quilting really is a global art form. So if you're not local to Penzance or Helston, then get online and find a supplier near you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been my very great
and
pleasure.
helping start Helston Makes It 2020. And hopefully we'll see you again next year with some more quilts.
Absolutely, you will.
Thank you,
Isabel.